I'm Alex.
And I'm Teddy.
And I'm Spencer.
And we are
The Button Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers.
Now, welcome to the SMT episode with Spencer, Teddy, and me. SMT. It's just Spencer, me, and Teddy. I had to do that intro because my name isn't in the scheme. I can't do that. There's no A in there.
Drinking SMT for Terry 309.
And we're talking SMT today. A topic that all of us seem to appreciate. Even Alex, who doesn't play many RPGs.
Hey. I play RPGs, just not SMT or Dragon Quest.
Alex loves
or
Skyrim.
Cold Steel, or most of them.
Cloverfield?
And we're doing this episode on the eve of SMT 5 releasing. Be a really exciting time for modern gamers because it's more of a
Put on your
classic
party
RPG.
hats, get your party poppers ready because it's SMT Eve.
SMT, I was going to do the same thing. You beat me to it. Good job. High five. For our
We're doing a
audio
high
listeners.
five. This is pretty awesome. SMT, of course, is the classic RPG, maybe the most classic RPG in some sense. It's been around for forever, since the NES days, based off of an old book.
Whoa.
If you want to know more about the history of it, you can check out RPG Archive. It has everything you know about the introduction of SMT. But it's some sci-fi mixed with some fantasy, mixed with religion, of all things. It kind of tackles everything at once, so it's pretty bold. What's your guys' history with SMT?
Well, I have quite the tea collection, being majority, as you know. But my history with SMT goes back to my first day getting my 3DS, actually, and connecting to the tea shop, aka the e-shop for majority.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tea shop.
I sip my tea as astutely as I can when I made that pun. So when thinking about my 3DS, I bought it for Animal Crossing and also to later play Pokemon X and Y. Before Pokemon X and Y came out, I needed some games. Animal Crossing is great, but you can't only play Animal Crossing because it's you can't do that much in it, especially if you don't have virtual friends. I mean, I guess you could sew patterns and change your.
Welcome to the Animal
your
Crossing
town tune.
Discourse. We're talking about all things Animal Crossing.
Wait for that one.
Were we supposed to plug? Shit. Well, you can come check out our Button Mapper Village over on Discord.
Yeah, come buy some new shoes from Kicks and also kick it with us at the Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
And while you're at it, why don't you sew yourself together a tapestry with the URLs to our podcasts on the Apple platform and Spodaloo.
I just did that.
Did you? Oh, shit, I missed it.
You did Discord. I did that. You did it again.
I thought you did Discord
also,
again.
Don't forget to come over to the museum where Blathers will help you find the Discord. There you go. Now we did Discord twice.
Mail us a postcard.
And head on out to Tour Timer Island where you can hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and also leave us a comment. Tell us your favorite Animal Crossing villager.
I love a good tour timer. Back to SMT. I bought a 3DS, and there was a sale that I thought was a good sale because I wasn't a pro collector. It was a virtual sale for Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei 4. They were like $10 off each on the digital prices, which was like $49.99 and $39.99. I missed the sale, but I wanted both games, so I bought Fire Emblem Awakening and SMT4 at full digital price, and I immediately regretted it with SMT4 because it kicked my ass, and I then went on to play Fire Emblem. But I later came back to it and dominated in SMT4, and by my third time trying, I did clear the game, and that led to other games in the series, Persona 4, which was a gift, Persona 5, SMT4 Apocalypse, and most recently SMT3 Nocturne. That's my history with the series, although Persona 5 technically doesn't count, although it should.
I'll go next. I never heard people say a damn thing about SMT. I always heard about Persona. So growing up, I saw people play Persona 3 and 4, and I was like, that's a cool art style, but whatever. And then as I got more into the YouTube gaming sphere, I started hearing more about SMT, Persona, and all the SMT jargon. And eventually, I played Persona 5. And me and Spencer talked about that on his channel, and we're still doing that at some point. So I'm still playing Persona 5. And also, this year I got into playing SMT4. I picked it up on sale. I don't know, I bought it for it was like 10 or $15, something like that, super cheap. And I started playing that through the recommendation of my good friend Teddy. Thank you, Teddy. And I'm still playing SMT4. I've taken a bit of a break just because I've been working my ass off on review month. Go check it out. I plug myself every time now. I haven't been playing too much recently, but what I have played has been really good, and I've taken some sort of a liking to the SMT franchise, even if it's just through one game, and I want to maybe experience more of them in time.
Yeah, I started on the PS2. I played Digital Devil Saga, and I didn't play all of it. They were just too kind of like Teddy. Like they're like I was used to games that are a little easier and a little less adult themed, and so I was just kind of taken aback by it, and really really weird. Like they have really weird sensibilities when you think about regular RPGs. Like you'll just see an enemy just standing there and he'll talk to you and like chat it up about the apocalypse, and it's just kind of weird. So I didn't really understand it when I first played it, but since I've played tons of different iterations, incarnations, and spin-offs, I played like what are they called? Like the tactics ones on the DS, like Overclocked.
The Overclocked game.
Survivor, I think it's called. Digital.
The 3DS ones are called Overclocked because there's extra content, but it is Devil
okay.
Survivor.
Survivor, yeah. Played stuff like that. I've played SMT 3. We just played that. Teddy did an awesome review on his channel. And then we did. I played a little of 4, though I put it down because I knew we were eventually going to get to it. So in some form or fashion. So I can't wait to play more of that. And then 5, of course, is coming out. I'm super pumped. And yeah, the Persona games. And I actually played a little bit of the MMORPG when it was around. I didn't really get into it, but I did try it. So
What is that one?
I can't remember what it was called, but it was just like I think I would appreciate it more now, but there was an MMORPG. I think it was in like Area Games and like their family.
It was on the phone,
and
right?
it's now. No, it was on PC,
Oh.
full-fledged MMO. But I think a lot of those games were really hollow, and they just wanted you to pay money for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really get into it, but yeah, it was interesting.
Interesting. I picked up and put down a lot of the spin-off games. Some I almost made it through, and some I just found intolerable. I love the Raido Kuzunoa games. In fact, they came very close, but it was just because I was playing on PS2. I downloaded recently on my PS3, and then I dabbled in a little bit, but I wasn't playing it at the time, so I'll come back to that one. The 3DS ones are very hit or miss for me. There's one that's set in Alaska, which sounds badass, like demons.
A Strange Journey?
Yeah, Strange Journey. Is it Alaska? Well, Antarctica. That's what I meant. No, there's people in Alaska, of course. But that one, I don't know. I just found it very dull. The Persona Q.
Oh, Persona Q? Yeah.
I played the first one. I don't know. I was just, the environments were super dull. I've gotten far in the Etrian Odyssey games before, but at Q I just didn't even care to keep going for. And then
what's kind of interesting about those and specifically the Strange Journey ones is that's more traditional SMT.
Right.
That's really like the whole dungeon crawling is what it was supposed to be, and it kind of it's evolved since then. But it's
there's
interesting
such
to go back.
Little narrative in those. It's just a footnote.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I didn't like the music and that's actually a big pulling in point for me with a lot of the mainline games. I just think the music is done really well. and just the level of polish in them as well. Even though some of them are on the 3DS, like Alex has played 4, and when it hits the 3D segments and you're really exploring, like that's really cool. And they're very intricate and just well-rounded in the main line. But when it's not, it's kind of hit or miss. The Survivor ones, no. High school drama, nah, I'm good, bro. But that's interesting because I like it in Persona 4 and 5.
Some notable features about SMT include we'll go through a couple, but they're really famous for their difficulty. Now, I'm curious with Alex because he hasn't played as many RPGs, although he's played some, so he's got some say in this. But where do you rank it as far as difficulty in the JRPGs?
It's okay. So that's a tough question. I would say you need some JRPG experience, but I don't think it's totally inaccessible. I think maybe it's just a little they throw a lot at you at one time. I think that's mainly what I caught from 4 going into it. I love monster tamers anyway, so that's what kept me going, was that they were like, here's all these new systems and element things, and I was like, cool, can I catch that pumpkin man?
End of the world, yeah.
So I think even though there are a lot of systems, I think there is still some accessibility there if you're looking to play. It's just it's not going to be like a Pokemon or even like a Final Fantasy where it is kind of simple towards the beginning. There's a lot you need to pick up on.
Yeah, I would agree that maybe it's hard to really say that a game like a JRPG kind of thing, like a turn-based game, is difficult because it doesn't really have like a reflex or timing or anything of that nature. But I would say it's based on the systems, and in general, I've noticed that with SMT you have to use your brain a lot more than you would in like a Final Fantasy. Or there's so few bosses that are like a tank and spank kind of situation.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much they have like a pattern or some kind of technique that you have to master.
Well, yeah, usually when I'm playing like a Final Fantasy game, I can like just grind up my main leader as like the tank, and then that's it. Everybody else helps, but it's like, nope, I'm just gonna fucking kill, slaughter all the enemies. You can't do that in SMT4, at least when I've been playing it. It's like I get to bosses and it's like, oh shit, I have to like actually strategize, think about my next movements. I can't just like go in and with my strongest character and think I'm gonna just wail on them and leave.
Yeah, you know what, I think a lot of these are going to overlap, but SMT is notable for the press turn combat system, which is kind of Pokemon Point 2, where it's like everybody has a strength and a weakness, pistols or physical attacks or fire or whatever. They got all the basic attributes that you could imagine. And while you might have strength to one, you might have weakness to another. That's very notable for certain demons, but it's also notable for your main character because of the type of armor that you equip. You can change it at any time, but it does dictate what your weakness and strength is, and that can totally screw you even just in a basic combat system, not even when you get to a boss. And I think what makes this especially hard is that this is not a forgiving RPG like in Dragon Quest. If you die, okay, you respawn and then you just got to pay some money to get you guys back up, and you have all your items and you're leveling up that you did. In SMT, if your main character dies, just forget the rest of the party. If he gets hit and he dies, then then it's game over. Now, it doesn't mean you start from the very beginning of the game, but that's why people might tell you to save frequently. Or what I would advise in starting an SMT game is when you have the chance to upgrade stats, it's definitely vitality. Make sure your health just keeps going up, and every time you put a point into that.
Yeah. Well, should we save? I guess we'll save that for later because that kind of ties into something. But the press turn combat is very, very interesting, and you're probably the most well versed in SMT, like pure SMT. Could you explain as best you can the press turn combat for viewers that might not understand it?
Absolutely. So, on a standard battlefield, you have your main guy and then 3 demons. And that varies sometimes. Like when you're starting the game, you don't have any demons, so you have to recruit them. You get 1 turn for every party member that is on the battlefield. So, if you had 3 demons in the party and they're on the battlefield, you have 4 turns, the main characters and the other 3 demons. If you hit a weak spot in a demon, then you gain an extra turn. Your press turn will now suddenly be flashing. And so after the whole cycle is rotated, let's say nobody else gets a super effective hit, I guess, or hits the weak spot, then you would go back to the first character that attacked. And so technically, you could optimize it if you can hit weak spots for a total of 8 turns. Now, the downside of that is if you either miss, you don't hit the enemy, let's say they mess with your accuracy or you just use a move that doesn't always hit, or you did a attack that like they were resistant to, then you lose a turn. So you might come out with only, like, in a worst case scenario, 2 attacks. Even worse, if an enemy absorbs your attack or repels it back at you, you tend to lose all of your turns. So not only are you taking damage against your guy, let's say it's your main character or something, like he goes first or something, but then suddenly now you have to take the onslaught of the enemy attacks. And so it can really work for you, but also against you. And so it is a system to be cognizant of, because one false move can mean the death of your character.
Yeah, and what I like about that is not only the enemies have the exact same benefit as that as well. And what I like about that is it turns what a lot of RPGs would call, like, you would say it's like grinding or just like dead battles that all you're doing is just mindlessly plowing through enemies. It turns all of those into life or death situations. Like, there isn't really you can grind, like, you go to like a really early level and do it, but it'll take forever. But if you're grinding like at your level, there's always the possibility of a wipe. There's never a battle that you go into where you're just like, oh, I can't. I'm just gonna blow through this and just hit the A button, over and over until it's over. Like, that doesn't exist in SMT because of that system, which I think is really nice. And I think also, in a weird way, it prevents you from specializing. Like, in a lot of RPGs, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be all about physical attacks and yada yada yada. I'm gonna do this, but you can't specialize in that game. Your party has to have all the bases covered. Like, if they use some big move, you got to have a resistance to something in your party, or else you'll be completely fucked.
I remember you telling me through the Nocturne playthrough, oh, I'm doing a physical build on my guy. He's doing physical attacks. And then there comes a point in the game where you go against a boss who repels physical attacks.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do? You have to pass your turn. Well,
pretty much.
And the good thing about that is actually pass turn counts as a press turn, so you would get an extra turn for it. But still, it's they're always doing something to throw a curveball at you. Did you feel any curveballs thrown at you, or did you enjoy the press turn combat system, Alex, and as far as you've experienced it?
Oh, it was definitely a big learning experience because, again, I'm used to more, especially in the terms of something like a Monster Tamer. I'm used to more simple games like Pokemon or the Digimon Cyber Sleuth games and stuff, where it's like I could cheese my way through a lot of battles, and I quickly learned that was not the case in SMT4, which I actually appreciate, but it was a bit of a shock to the system at first, because I was like, whoa, I was like, I have to. What? I was like, I have to make sure, I have to check all the stats and make sure everything's set for this. And again, I just wasn't used to that. I'm used to at the most in a game like Pokemon, you can be like, oh well, this type's weak to this type and this type's strong against this type, so I'll just do this. But whatever, I can still cheese my way through the fight. Hence the last Pokewary I used Razor Leaf on everybody.
Well, speaking of monster taming, another huge aspect of SMT is the demon recruitment. So, Alex, how do you feel? How do you feel it's? Yes, being a huge fan of it. Like, where does it stack with the other demon recruitment
it's great.
Not demon monster taming games?
Yeah, demon recruitment games. Listen to my new genre I need. No, it's something that I didn't really know that's what SMT was, because again, I didn't know much about it. But once I started playing Persona 5 and those elements peeked through, that's when my curiosity was like, oh, is that what SMT is? So then, whenever I started playing 4, I really got into it, and I not only is it great, do I love the like negotiation system for recruiting demons, and and monsters and stuff, because I don't know, it's just a neat format to like stop the battle and be like, hey, join my team. And they're like, oh, give me some money, or give me this, or answer this question, and it's kind of like a puzzles. Sometimes you gotta choose the right choices, and sometimes you're gonna fuck up, and they're gonna take your money and run away, or they're gonna kill you or something. But not only that, but I also really love the fusion elements of like creating new demons, like getting the stuff to like make a new demon, and because like you don't really have that sense of control in something like Pokemon. You just kind of know like, oh, I'm gonna catch this Magikarp, and then it's gonna turn into Gyarados. It's gonna whatever. But whenever you play SMT, I like that like when I get a new demon, I'm like, okay, cool. I need to go look and see like what I could do with it, like what fusions I can do. And it lets me play a little more creatively with that aspect of the game. I think Digimon does it as well, but whatever. Shut up. But with Pokemon at least, yeah, it's like you're always on that like set path. So I like the idea of like veering away from that.
I like that as well. It's kind of the ultimate experience in agency and experimentation. Like I've been lost in that Demon Fusion Center, like the Hall of Shadows or Cathedral of Shadows. Welcome to the Cathedral of Shadows, where demons gather. That guy's voice is imprinted in my mind. But I go in there so much, and I'm like, what can I make today? What can I add to my party? What skills can I pass on? How can I make the ultimate demon? How can I build resistances and get a null fire on a fire weak, unicorn or whatever? It's really cool. And just like the mythological aspect to it too. One thing I really liked about the demons and the monsters in SMT4 is that not only are they rooted in mythology and religious texts, but you also actually get the biography for them, so you can read about them and learn something about their history. And so I think that's just fascinating. And of course, you are getting one artist's interpretation of them. I don't remember the guy's name, but the guy has a lot of experience doing the monsters with the SMT and Persona series. And quite frankly, it's very creative, and I like what's done.
I kind of like too it's like a counter to Pokemon, because in Pokemon, obviously it's for kids. And they constantly have like a narrative that doesn't make any sense, but they drive through it in every Pokemon game where they're like, this guy actually cares about his Pokemon. I don't care about my Pokemon at all. I just use them for combat. And like you have to pretend that you're not also doing the same thing. Whereas in SMT, it's like they're demons. Like they're actually basically villains, pretty much, that you're just recruiting that happen to be on your team because you've like conquered them. And so you'll take a demon and you'll get a new one. You're like, oh yeah, I got this new guy on my team. How can I sacrifice him to make something even grander? It's like, how can I kill this to make it better? It's you really do not care for them in that kind of lovey-dovey way. You just want them to use them. And it's definitely a different outlook on that whole idea. Which is interesting because SMT came before any of that. So it's weird to think of it as like it always seemed like the next level of Pokemon, but it's actually the first level of Pokemon.
It's just hard not to compare them, because when you think Monster Tamer, you think Pokemon. You don't. Most people wouldn't think of SMT first. Probably they would think Pokemon. So it is interesting to compare them. Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, there's not like the I love my Pikachu. It's like, dude, I don't give a shit about. You're just a cool ass demon that I want to use for your abilities.
It's the realistic mentality that Pokemon doesn't want you to know.
Yeah, it's like I'll start a battle in SMT4, and I'll see a big ass demon with like 2 swords or something. I'll be like, shit, I need to conquer that thing. I need to capture that thing.
Yeah,
the thing's gonna be my slave.
Basically the same thing in Pokemon, right? Oh, give me that Geodude.
That Geodude's got some great biceps.
That Geodude's got ball.
He is ball.
What are you guys' thoughts on one of the other things about SMT is that it's consistently taking place in Japan, whereas most RPGs take place in some kind of fantasy setting because they can control it. For whatever reason, they always make it take place in Japan, so it's got like this real world apocalyptic feel to it, because always Japan, and then some catastrophic event happens, and now you're exploring usually the remains or what's left of Japan. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
That threw me the fuck off. Okay, well, Persona 5 didn't, but because I knew what that was. But in terms of SMT4, it threw me off because somebody like me that's a new player, which I imagine on 3DS there were probably a lot of new players jumping into SMT4. So going into SMT4, it starts out and it does kind of have more of a fantasy element to it. And you're kind of like, thrown into this world with the samurai and stuff, and you're kind of thrown away with, thrown around on these missions and everything. And then you get deeper and deeper, and then you finally see Tokyo, whatever, and in the city and everything underground, and it's all destroyed. And that's when you're like, holy shit. Like, this isn't a fantasy realm. Like, this is our this is Earth. And that was like a point where I was like, oh god, like I did not expect this. I was like, I don't know. I just, because again, I'd never hear much about SMT. So I was like, oh, I had no idea that SMT4 was like the same thing, where it took place in Tokyo, where it was like Persona 5, basically, just after the apocalypse.
Yeah. It's very interesting, the dichotomy between the two in Persona or Mega 10. Persona is typically like just the Japanese kind of anime experience. It's very caricature, high school, like mean professor, kind of stringent and get your grades and stuff. And you're actually replying to professors in class. It kind of reminds me of Bully. I don't know if you guys played that, but
yeah.
SMT, on the other hand, is literally like where the shit goes down. Like, you don't want to be in Tokyo, but if we know one thing, it's that the apocalypse happens in Tokyo. Here's the rest of the world, and here's Tokyo. Tokyo has the apocalypse, and so it's kind of funny in a sense, because it's like the end of the world, but it's only happening in one place. But
yeah, I've always wondered about that. Like, can anybody, if somebody's in America, can they just kind of look over and see just a big haze? What's going on?
Flights will not be departing to Tokyo. We'll be stopping in Korea.
Yeah.
But I do just generally like that they're using real world locations. I know Pokemon does it as well, the Johto or the Kanto regions, and they're based in parts of Japan. But it's really more, felt in the Megami Tensei games. Now, on the other hand, in playing through Nocturne, or even SMT4 to some extent, they do feel a bit devoid at times of character, because everything is just broken down and there's no real life to it. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, to me, it's always felt odd that they chose real world locations, because they just destroy them and they don't look like anything. So it's like, I've always felt it weird that they would even bother to make it that way. But I guess it works in that way that it's supposed to be like real life. Like, it's supposed, because the theme is always going to be, the themes are always so grand, and they're just like good versus, or not even good. It's like lawful and
Chaos,
you know these better than me, but chaos and do you believe in anything? Like, you can believe in nothing. You can and so it's really the world's view on that, and so it makes sense that they have a real world thing. But from a geography perspective, it's kind of disappointing, because in Persona, it's kind of cool. You get to go to these real places, and they're there, and you can explore them a little bit and understand the culture. In this, there is no culture; it's dust. It's all dust. So
that's my biggest hurdle right now, is where I'm currently at. Probably why I haven't picked it up recently, besides me being busy with review month, go check it out, is just the fact that the city, nothing in the city really looks any different when it comes to the map. And I'm at a point to where I don't know where I'm going. I'm at a point to where I'm not entirely sure which direction I need to be heading. And I've fucked around the map for a while, and I can't quite figure it out. So I'm going to have to look it up, which I hate doing. So that's my only, that's the only thing with the game that I do not enjoy so far, is that you can give me a picture of the map and be like, "Hey, help me out here." I'll be like, "That looks like the entire map."
Yep.
Right? So that's my only issue is that like there's nothing memorable when it comes to the map itself, and so I'm having some navigation issues. Yeah.
I think in hearing about like how when you go to these places they're just destroyed and devoid. I honestly think, I'm thinking from the perspective of a Japanese player that might have more significance to them and more real world meaning, because maybe like everybody knows where Yoyogi Park is and they know about like the flora and the fauna or whatever, the blossom trees, and then seeing it in that light where it's like suddenly it's so devoid of character maybe has a different meaning to them than it might to us. It's just interesting, the conundrum that SMT and Persona are as popular as they are stateside.
That's a really good point. I never even considered that. But yeah, like if they were like, it's going to take place in Arizona and then here's the Grand Canyon, like I would understand that and I'd be like, oh, okay, I can see it. But yeah, but yeah, Tokyo, they probably get that a lot better over there.
Did you say Yogi Park, like Yogi Bear?
Yes. Confirmed.
So Alex brought up a good point before we started, and it's going to be the next topic, and Teddy and I can try to help him out. But you said that you had a hard time being a newcomer, like understanding where to start, because obviously there's a bunch of different options.
Put on my dunce hat.
Oh,
my dunce hat is now on.
Yeah.
Help me, guys.
Help me. So there's Persona series, which is an offshoot of SMT. There's the SMT series straight. There's a bunch of different spin-offs, and they didn't even release 1 and 2 in America. So you're basically, if you're going to start SMT, you're on 3. So can you describe your confusion with starting the series?
Yeah. Where do I start? Because there's so many games that like all have different names. And like I said, the first 2 aren't even released here. And I'm aware there's like games in other regions before 3, but I guess I started with Persona 5, but I guess my question for you guys is, where would you recommend somebody start if they want to get into this franchise?
I'll go.
Okay.
It really depends on that person's identity and connection to games and gaming. I think to a more casual player, Persona is probably more entry level because of just the complete variety in tasks and task-driven behavior. You're not just jumping in and suddenly it's like, okay, let's attack with demons. No, it's like, let's really get to know all of these characters and these people, whereas SMT is no frills. We're going to jump in and we're going to start you off. You're in a hospital and the world's blown up. Good luck. Go talk to a pixie. That's your first demon party member, and let's go. Different strokes, different folks, and I personally, for a gamer, I would say start with like either Nocturne or 4. 4 Apocalypse is kind of a weird starting off point. The first 2 games are weird. Like I just don't know where to play them in the most accessible way, so I can't even recommend those. And then if I was to narrow it down between Nocturne and 4, I honestly go Nocturne simply because it's a console experience and you can play it on the TV or you can play it on the Switch and the handheld. 3DS is great. I love my 3DS, but I do understand that in the modern day it is harder to go back to. And I think Nocturne really hits a lot of the bases. I do think it has enough of a narrative constructed in a way that's meaningful and impactful and gets you to care about like the end of the world and gives you the agency to kind of like go however you want about it, as far as demons, as far as narrative choices.
Yeah, I would wager, and this is kind of a cheating answer, but 5 is probably going to be a really good starting point. But even better than 5, I think entirely would probably be Persona 5. Because most gamers, like you said, it's kind of startling to see how brutal SMT4 or the traditional SMT series can be for a gamer that's not used to it. It's like, you're not going to help me at all? It's like, no, not even a little bit. Like, we're going to give you the tools and then leave, essentially. So I think Persona 5 just is a gentler way, and it's very flashy. It can keep your attention. It has a compelling story. It has a bunch of characters that you're going to like, because SMT is very lonely. That's one of the things about the series that I think is hard for people to grasp, is that when a lot of people think, especially me, when you think of like a JRPG, you're thinking of your party, you're thinking of the friends that you're going to build, the characters that you're going to meet. SMT, it has characters. You're usually trying to kill them. You're usually opposed to most of them. But they're very few and far between. It's mostly long stretches of you and demons that you're trying to kill and butcher to make more demons. It's a very lonely, selfish game, and I think that's hard for people. So I would highly recommend Persona first. And if you're like, okay,
sorry, I was going to say so we're not starting at Catherine.
no, I would think if you're playing Persona and you really like it and you're like, man, this combat's deep. Okay, at that point, try SMT because it's nothing but that, and it's really good.
We're actually starting at Snowboard Kids.
Yeah,
But
dude, yes, I forgot that was Atlas.
I just like
wasn't that on
it's on N64.
wasn't that on a Reddit post that we did?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
I think I was like, which do you prefer, Persona? I spread that like Persona or SMT, and then the person said, I pick Snowboard Kids. It's like on a Reddit.
I have Snowboard Kids. I fucking love that game. That game's awesome.
Technically, you began your foray into the SMT series.
It's not part of the SMT.
Those kids are demons.
awesome though, wouldn't it? Because I mean, I have played that game as a kid, so it'd be cool if like the whole time I was playing like an SMT snowboarding game, but didn't know.
It's like Jack Frost was just waving at you from a billboard.
Yeah.
He might be in that game somewhere.
Somebody threw in a little hee-ho.
I need to go back and play it.
Do you want to cover the spinoffs, or do we already kind of do that?
We kind of did it. It's okay.
Okay. Let's talk about some different comparisons. The first major one is going to be SMT versus Persona. I don't know. Somebody go about what
I
you
think
think.
we just did it.
Yeah? I think we're good on that? Okay.
I'll give my 2 cents. You guys talked. I'll give my 2 cents for a second. I personally, as a newcomer to the series, I agree that Persona is probably the place to start for a more casual gamer. I was really taken back when I started playing Persona because I picked to buy Persona 5 and Dragon Quest 11 at the same time. And at the time, this was like, whatever, 2020 or 2019, somewhere around there. The Dragon Quest 11 did not grip me with its plot. I've since restarted it on Switch and I like it more there. But Persona 5 immediately drew me in with its plot. And I feel like that's an element that I haven't gotten from SMT4. I feel like they're rewarding on very different levels. So I feel like Persona, for me personally, if I had to recommend it, it would be to somebody that I know enjoyed a good story in games. And SMT4 that I've played so far, I would recommend to somebody that just wanted a really good RPG. Because the thing that keeps me going in SMT4 is not the plot; it has been the systems and the mechanics that have kept me going in that game. So that'd be my comparison.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
How about SMT versus Pokemon? This is going to be the worldwide clash. Especially, I'm excited for 5 to come out on like the Switch because it's like Pokemon's console.
Probably
So,
4
like,
is on the 3DS, and
yeah, but this will be the first SMT that comes out on an actual console, and I guess
An
Pokemon
Nocturne
also.
remaster, but okay.
yeah, so you're wrong.
You're right, but it's a newer game. I mean, like a new game in the series, like a big version of it. And Pokemon's also really the first time they're on a console as well.
Dude, and I mean they're both coming out the same month. I mean they're doing the Gen 4 remakes, which exist. Those will be out this month as well. So yeah, it's like that is a good point. It's the Clash of the Titans. I'm curious to see. I mean, if you had to ask me, I'm going to tell you probably Pokemon's probably going to sell more. That's just because it's Pokemon.
Yeah,
you know. And but yeah, I mean, honestly, if I had to recommend somebody, even though I have zero interest in playing 5 right now. That's just me and my time, and I want to play it through. I want to finish 4. But if somebody asked me which one they should buy, the SMT5 or the Pokemon Gen 4 remakes, I'd probably tell them SMT5. But it's probably a better quality game.
I think the more comparable one will be Pokemon Arceus versus SMT5 because it is a Gen 4
Yeah, that's
Pokemon game.
Or you could go Sword and Shield.
Yeah,
true.
you could.
But I think that is a very bold comparison. Those
Demons
two,
have swords. Pokemon are shields. You know.
No. I think Sword and Shield is the embodiment of what Pokemon has become,
Oh yeah.
and SMT5 will be the embodiment of them not ever trying to change that formula, which should be an interesting comparison.
I mean, that's the same. That's what Sword and Shield was an unwillingness to change in a lot of ways.
I think they changed a lot in
I'm the opposite.
in ways that I don't like.
I think which we're not going to go off on a rant, but I think Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I've poured a ton of time into, doesn't feel like a complete game until after you get the DLC, and before that, it feels like another Pokemon game, just like the same shit. So, are you saying SMT5 isn't going to change? You don't think it's going to do anything vastly different, or
No, not at all.
to shake up the series?
SMT is kind of like Dragon Quest, and that's really, really rooted in its tradition, and it does not like to stray from it. I think you're going to see probably all the same mechanics, just about that were in 3 and that are in 4. You're going to see all that, and then maybe like a couple minor touches that make it newer. Maybe they'll change something slightly in the fusion department, but you'll see very much the same game with better graphics, reanimated characters, and I love it for that.
It must be nice to have that comfort, because as a Final Fantasy fan, I'm terrified every time a new game comes out.
Yeah.
Well,
I think with Final Fantasy, they just have to throw darts to the board.
It's like I'm terrified to play any new Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
So you say the unwillingness to change. I say praise them.
the opportunity not to change.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Dragon Quest syndrome. They know what people like, and so then they have no reason to change it. And if they did, it would just be like, what? With regards to mechanics, I think Pokemon has overstayed its welcome. It was unique at a time, and then it stopped being unique. And with Megami Tensei, the formula doesn't get old. It's weird, because both have kind of stayed the same, but one is tired, and the other is always intuitive and engaging.
Yeah, well, I think SMT, they've evolved in such completely different ways. SMT has evolved in just getting more, in a way, complex, but it really just polishing, continuing to polish with each iteration, because you can with the technology. Whereas Pokemon has evolved, but the way that it's evolved is, let's make it more accessible. Let's make it more simplified. Let's add some weird story that I can't imagine anybody caring about, like to try to keep people interested. Shorten the game. I think it's only like 10 hours long, Pokemon Sword and Shield without the DLC. Something like that. They've gone and then SMT goes the exact opposite. Like, no, we will not make our game accessible. If anything, we'll make it harder with each iteration and tell you less and less information. So it's just interesting to see them like evolve in such different, divergent ways.
It's funny, Teddy, I think your mic did a thing again. You can hear your brain.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
I figured it
Yeah,
out.
Now your mic isn't coming in.
Hello. Really?
Again?
Hello?
Very low.
How about... son of...
Might be using the webcam mic.
Screw me, man. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Oh my god.
Hello.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I have
Strange issues today. I don't even remember what I was saying.
Well, we kind of started talking about it, but with SMT5 coming out, what are your guys' hopes and expectations for the series?
I'll go first because I have the least to say. I just hope it's good. I don't have any interest in playing it right now. Maybe down the road when I have time and finish with 4. But right now, if I play SMT, it's gonna be 4. So I just hope it's a good game. I don't know you guys are excited, so that's my hope. I hope my friends are happy.
I hope I can get a copy because I want to play it day one. But I hope I can finish Dragon Quest V before we start, before it comes out.
Wow, you're playing Metroid 5, Dragon Quest 5, and Shin Megami Tensei 5.
This is the 555 deal. What up, Domino's? Our sponsor for today. Go ahead.
I am super excited for SMT. I think it's hitting at a really interesting time. Games like Dark Souls have become really popular that are actually like hard and challenge the player. Whereas I think before, when SMT's released, it hasn't hit the market in a time when it would be received in the same way. The Switch is very popular that it's going to hit on, and it's also in need of like a hard, because like obviously we talked about Pokemon coming out and all these other games. There isn't a lot of really hard JRPGs on there, or even hard games in general. So this could be a really interesting, like, the hard game on the Switch. So that's exciting. And I think it's a really good opportunity with the holidays coming up that this could be a really big opportunity for SMT to grab some market share. Because just historically, they have done pretty poorly in sales if you compare it to like a Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Pokemon. It's just not even in the same ballpark. And I think this is a good opportunity for them.
And also, Sega needs a win right now. Give them the money.
It's coming with Football Manager 21.
I got one more point in this game. No, because I just want to talk briefly about that. Man, they've had a rough few months. The Sonic Colors thing, and then the Monkey Ball thing, and then also Last Judgment came out, but now they don't have a contract with the guy that plays the guy from Judgment, so I don't think they can continue that franchise anymore. So they're really like hurting right now.
What is the Monkey Ball conspiracy?
Oh, you know what? I actually got that game. That game's okay, but there's been a lot of hoopla just going around about like how they changed shit and everything, and people aren't happy with it. Like hardcore fans aren't happy with it.
Oh, they did Banana Blitz, which was the Wii game, right?
Well, no, they did Banana Mania, which is 1 and 2.
Was it The Legend of the Chiquita Banana?
You got it.
Was that the conspiracy? Is that they didn't talk about
The controversy, not conspiracy, is that they changed the games. Anyway, I don't want to go on a monkey rant.
Are
I'm just
Sega secretly conspiring to overthrow?
I'm just saying that right now Sega could really use a win, so I think SMT5 could be it.
Do these monkeys actually have balls? Let us know in the comments below.
Last Judgment's probably great, but it's also probably the Last Judgment. They named that aptly.
All right. Well, are you excited for SMT5? Terry, don't answer that. Put your answer in the comments below, unless you're Terry.
What were your hopes?
If not,
did you have any?
Mine?
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
did you say?
Oh, Spencer?
I don't remember.
Me?
Yeah, I hope they grab more market share.
Oh, Spencer.
With
Okay.
it.
Okay. Yep, trying to buy them SMT stocks.
Do you want us to cover more Sega games?
Yeah.
In the
Where's
comments below.
Dude, what I want now, because now technically Sega has 2. If you're not counting SMT and Persona as different franchises, they have 2 RPG franchises. They have the SMT series, and now they have the Yakuza games that are as the RPG style. So where's my SMT Yakuza crossover? Where's my post-apocalyptic Yakuza JRPG?
It's Tokyo Mirage Sessions, of course,
Oh, there you
Perfect
go.
game. The perfect game.
where you can play karaoke of "Living in a City." You know
That game's
Perfect
actually kind of great, except all the singing parts.
Is the
Does that have
Sonic R
anything to do with either
soundtrack?
franchise? Is it an SMT game or is it a Fire Emblem game or what the fuck is that game?
It's
Karaoke
almost
simulator.
exclusively an SMT game
Hmm.
with minor Fire Emblem things in it.
Yeah, they're like, look, it's Crom.
All right,
Waifu Crumb.
but it is actually a pretty good game. But yeah, there's if you got it because you wanted to play Fire Emblem, you'll be severely disappointed.
I can't imagine. There were probably a lot of people on the Wii U that, well, not a lot of people, but people on the Wii U that had a Wii U that were like, hell yeah, I love Fire Emblem, and got it, and they were like, what the fuck is this?
What the
the fuck is my play?
There were probably.
I got that game because it was Persona 5 before Persona 5, and I was not disappointed.
Before Persona 5 was a thing, there was Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
So the best Persona, the best Shin Megami Tensei game is Persona 5 Dancing All Night. Don't forget to play it. It works with the PlayStation VR. Now you can dance in VR.
So strap on your goggles and grab your plushies. We're heading to the van. The Persona van.
Yeah.
Just as I would not go into anybody's van if I were you.
So come to the van.
You're telling me if somebody pulled up and they said, "Hey kid, we got Persona 6 back here."
Limited
Go into
edition.
that van. Go in there. Find it.
Get it while
It's
it's
worth
hot.
the risk.
It's next to the candy and the puppies.
What's your persona? Yeah, you.
You guys ever do that? You guys ever do that, dude? Whenever me and my buddy Ethan had a YouTube channel when we were teenagers, we pissed people off. We wanted to find a way to bring in subscribers, so we made a post like a video that said, "This is like back before this was even a thing." Resident Evil 6 footage, and people were like clicking on it, and it was just a dumb trailer for our dumb YouTube channel, and people were leaving shitty comments like, "What the fuck's wrong with you guys? Like, you guys suck. Your channel sucks. Why would you?" And it was like, it was the dumbest shit. It was like 2008 or whatever. And it was like Resident Evil 6 was like like not even like announced yet, but we used like a shitty like Resident Evil 4 stock image and put like Resident Evil 6 trailer leak or whatever. It's just, you click on it, it's just two fucking teenagers fucking around with a camera. Subscribe to our channel, and it was nobody.
Isn't that basically what Resident Evil 6 is?
Backfired. You know, honestly, I think in time after 6 came out, I think people would have preferred our version more. So really we're trying to save you guys.
Two teenagers, one camera, Resident Evil.
Two girl, one Shin Megami Tensei.
5.
5 what?
Best of 5. Top 5 SMT games. Ready?
Whoa.
Go.
SMT Persona Dance All Night.
You know they'd put some shit like that in there just to try to grab people. Like number 3, Dancing All Night. Hold on. You might be saying that's not an RPG. Listen to this.
You use your entire body to role play.
Number 2,
You
Kingdom
did.
Hearts. Secret RPG connection to Atlas because it was on the PlayStation 2.
They would totally pull that shit.
That's the crossover I want, is SMT with Kingdom Hearts, so I can fucking fight demons with Disney characters.
You can sacrifice Goofy.
Yeah.
When he gets
Can you,
pillaged, he'll go,
Could you imagine like having to recruit Goofy with the fucking SMT dialogue?
No.
It'd be amazing.
Do it.
I'd be like, I am thou.
Thou art I.
Thou, thou art I. You've now recruited Goofy to your party. Demon Goofy.
If Mickey invited me to his birthday party, would you send an extra invitation or would you keep it for yourself?
I don't know.
Try to answer these stupid questions.
Yeah.
Well, Jay,
Wrong
neither do
answer.
I.
Yeah. It's like Pooh Bear's like, if you had a pot of honey, would you share it with me? It's like, no. Oh, bother. I guess I have to kill you now.
Winnie the Pooh cast Megadeth.
There's that one demon that's like in a pot, right? I want like Winnie the Pooh, like in a pot. Like that's the demon. Like in a pot of honey.
It's the ultimate form. Winnie in pot.
Okay, make sure
bye.
to get SMT.
Support the franchise. And buy a surprise.
Okay, I stopped recording.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them button mappers.